This is Michelle with Variety Radio Online at San Diego Comic-Con 2014. What better way to celebrate TNT's hit summer show, The Last Ship, than with a party on the USS Midway, complete with paratrooper drop, fireworks, and a concert. But before the party started, the producers and the cast talked with us about the apocalyptic world the show is immersed in.
Well, we like to say is the show's not post-apocalyptic, it's apocalyptic. It's apocalypse now. It's happening in the moment, and the difference between our show and any other show or movie, I think, is that our guys can stop it. And that's the key. The show's about the hope and these people hanging on and being heroic in the face of all odds. And I think that's what gives the show its urgency. And it's got a ticking clock, you know. Every day they don't come home with the vaccines, a day 500,000 people die. That is underneath every single thing. And so the show is paced like that. That people are acting in a way that has the urgency of that behind them. They want to get home to their families, and if they find the cure, maybe they'll get home in time to save their families. And if they do that, they can repair the world that's falling apart. So that was, to us, the key distinguishing characteristic between a post-apocalyptic show that takes place 15 years after it all went to hell. You know, it's happening right now, and it's happened in the last 4 months, if it's not too late to stop it.
Well, this is actually an apocalyptic environment. We get to see it as it's unfolding. It's like apocalypse now. If anybody's used that term before, I don't know.
I'm totally unaware.
But this is seeing it as it's unfolding, and it is kind of in the zeitgeist a little bit. The zombies and the apocalypse are pretty popular right now. We don't have any zombies. We have a very deadly virus, and it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting subject matter for me. I think it's rich in storytelling, and the characters are great, and I'm having a blast, man.
It's intense to imagine this actually happening to the world. It seems like it's relevant and current, like it could happen. So immediately the stakes are higher. And it just really makes you think about my personal life and how I try to live and the standard that I live my life. And I try to do my best to serve humanity in the way that I can. And when it comes to this situation, we're in the Navy. That's our duty, is to serve humanity. And I think in these situations, this is the place that I would want to be, is helping out those that need it. So for me, it fits right into my blueprint of who I am, and I really enjoy the idea of doing my part in saving the world. I think all of us have that inner hero that we want to align with, and this job allows me to play around in that.
I don't know. I think that some people would go to bits and lose it. But I think in order to do what one has to do, I think one's survival and gut is so incredibly strong. I think we're much stronger than we think we are. And that's the choice that I have made, is to get everyone on board, and this is the direction we need to go. Personal stuff put aside, we have to get on with the task at hand. And so there is that hounds at the heel tidal wave against her, that I think that if she lets her emotions come to the forefront, or if that takes over at any point, that she would crack and wouldn't be able to stand up and be who she is in front of Captain Chandler and the rest of the ship. And I think that's the reason why everyone's like, well, she's so aloof and she's so self-contained and she's so standoffish. She's carrying the greatest Fabergé egg that the planet or any human being has ever come across ever, and is trying to make sure that it doesn't break, and that she preserve whatever there is to preserve. And so I think that being a man or a woman doesn't really factor at this point. She's a human being who has a certain amount of knowledge, and she's been entrusted by the U.S. government and the the President. I'm English. With this just overwhelmingly ridiculous task.
They shared some of their unique experiences working with the U.S. Navy and filming on a Navy destroyer.
There, we shot the entire pilot on the ship. And then for the series, we built sets, because you can't ask the Navy to give you a ship for 6 months. They've got other things they got to do, like defend and liberate the world. Yeah. But we went there for 3 weeks total over the course of the next 9 episodes. We went there for 2 trips, once for a couple weeks, and then back again for a week. And so it was a challenge for us from a production standpoint. We had to write all the scripts ahead of time. know which scenes we were going to shoot on the ship and shoot them, at that time. So for the actors, they were shooting things all out of order because
we would be.
We have a lot of small time to be on the
Episode
ship.
2, Episode 9, Episode 7 today.
Right.
Where are we?
Right. So the actors all maintain incredible focus.
But couldn't have done that had the creators, the writers like Hank and Steve and everyone involved kept so organized and had the backing of TNT to have given us the nod and said, we believe in you, write this stuff out ahead, so we knew where we were going. So while we're actually having to go on the day and do season episode 9, 5, and 4 today, where are we? Well, here's where you are. And they knew. It was not a lot of guesswork. It's the only way you could logistically get it done, because we were so much at the mercy of the Navy ship and the availability. It's an honor to be aboard Navy-guided missile destroyers and to have the captain and the crew welcome us aboard. The Department of Defense, Michael Bay's involvement has been humbling and a great learning process. My father served in World War II, and so for me to be able to, in my own pretend way, step into his shoes is, a dream come true, really. I've said in the panels, I've said it before, thank God they're on our side. These are weapons platforms that are basically, it's a defensive weapon except for the missiles, which are long range to protect the flotilla and the fleet. So I'm a firm believer that America is not here to be an aggressor. It's more of a defender and a liberator. And I stand by that, and I'm just honored to be a part of a project that allows us to work with this great organization, and I'm very humbled by it. I just want to serve them well, and the virus, I ain't worried about the frickin' virus.
No, I did. My father was in the Navy. Yeah, he was an ensign. But as far as that, I didn't have any experience like on board a naval destroyer, which was pretty fucking cool. They took us out to sea for 3 days, and that was a pretty interesting experience. And ran some torpedo evasion drills and shot the 5-inch cannon for us. It was pretty awesome. We use the actual Navy enlisted and officers for certain roles when we need them, because if we need them to do their job, who better than to have do their job than the guys that do their job? And you'd be surprised how many of these guys are naturally just great at doing their job in front of a camera.
Which is harder than it sounds.
It is. Sometimes, people have a tendency to freeze up when you put a camera on them. But some of these guys are naturals, man. It's great to watch. The only thing that took me by surprise is how laid back they were. I mean, they take their jobs very seriously. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they take their jobs very seriously. And when it's time to go to work, they go to work. The Navy sets the conditions for success and then executes with precision and style. And that's what we love about them. And I just found them to be a great group of guys and gals, and we had a good time working with them. But I did get to experience some of the behaviors of Captain Mike Wheeldryer, who was the CO of the first ship that we went out on, the Halsey. And when we were running the torpedo evasion drills and shooting the 5-inch, I got to see how he behaved when a couple things went wrong, and how everything was a learning experience for him and his crew. And what he always asked his crew, what can we take away from this, and how can we do it better next time? And it was just little tiny glimpses into the mind of like a true leader.
Why?
I knew nothing about the Navy, just from things I've seen in films and documentaries and stuff like that. We dove in all the way. And we've had Navy personnel, every different kind of personnel you can imagine. They've been on set with us the entire time. They've been helping us guide the storylines. They've been helping us authenticate our performances. What's beautiful about the Navy is I feel like since we got to work so close with them, it was like we got to plug into the source, and it just allowed us to live more of their life just from their presence. So I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about Navy SEALs because Michael Bay's first request to me was hang around the Navy SEALs on set and get to know them, breathe them in, and so I did. So I've become more educated than I ever thought I would about the Navy SEALs in general. I thought they'd be these like grizzled, like war-heavy veterans that like were dark and like tortured people, and it turns out they're not. They're like the most soft, tender, genuine, creative people. And I really learned that these guys, as much as they train and dedicate their life to this mental endurance and this physical endurance, they've got this genuine creativity. One of the guys has opened a brewery, the other guy has a clothing line, the other guy was spouting out monologues and crying to me. I did not expect to be connecting on with these Navy SEALs on such a human level. They really surprised me with just their depth of character and humility. My favorite moment, to be honest, this is offset. This was at our premiere in D.C. The Navy flew us out to Washington, D.C. They put on this big premiere for us, and so many Navy women and Navy men came. And after the screening, we had a captain and his 2 daughters. All of them were in the Navy. They approached Christina Elmore, and she plays the gay character. And both of the women are crying and saying, thank you for representing 2 gay women in the Navy, because it really tapped into who they were and what they've struggled with. So to me, that's the greatest moment, is when we can have someone from the outside tell us that what we're doing is affecting people in a positive way. Because that's the whole point of art in the first place, and the whole point of what we're doing. So to know that our reach extends further than we might know, that is motivating as hell for me.
Well, I just come off a military show, so I was working with the army for a couple of years over in South Africa. So I've been fairly well entrenched with the military. But I was in place also playing the head of a special ops outfit. So to actually shed the guns and the jackets and the saluting and the ma'am and the majors and all that was quite nice to be a civilian and walk on. But I'm, being English and coming into an American outfit, and also seeing this sort of this machine work, this mechanism flow. I don't ever see suits, color or rank in my life, and so I just see boys and girls and men and women, and I connect with people. And so what I was fascinated with is, who are these boys and girls, and what's the common denominator here, and why are they here? And it's the same all around. People join the military for various different reasons, but the thing that usually keeps them there, and the reason why they like to be there or feel compelled to be there, is because they get an opportunity to show up and serve for their brothers and sisters. It's not about war. And there's a sense of pride in being given a structure in your day and doing your best. And people like doing their best. And it's not about war. It's about having a sense of honor in your day. And it's a lovely, lovely feeling, because it set the tone for everybody. So everyone shows up on their best behavior every day, and they're really proud to be there for each other, not for war. And that's the lovely thing,
And so it was a lot of fun to learn about all the different parts of the ship and how it all, and everybody has a role to play, and the ship has to, small story. We had a scene where we wanted to punish somebody for behavior that was inappropriate, breaking good order and discipline. And we thought, well, we can't kick them off the ship. We can't cut their pay because they're not getting paid. You can't send them back to Norfolk. What are you going to do? And so, our first instinct was to think about movies about the military we used to watch as kids. So we thought, kitchen duty, make them peel potatoes. And luckily, we had a real ship's captain as one of our advisors. And he said, don't you dare do that. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, the culinary specialists, CS was the rate, take that job very seriously. They are the ones to keep, happy belly, happy crew. They're the ones that keep the crew fed, keep morale up. They take their job seriously. If they saw you punishing somebody else but giving them their job, it would make their job feel like crap to them. And I said, so I'm sorry, what would you do? And he told us, and it comes out in the show. The great thing about the Navy is they've been studying leadership since 1776, or 1775 actually. And they've made a lot of mistakes over the years, and they've learned from them, and they've codified them, and they've constantly updating it. And so the show is in many ways a meditation on leadership, and the Navy studies that, and we learned a lot from them. So
these guys started to embody that. And so the way they speak to each other, the way they address each other, all those things matter.
Travis Van Winkle told us what to expect in upcoming episodes of the show, which has already been renewed for a second season.
We have more threats come at us from unseen areas. Basically, the ship is its own culture. So there's some rifts between power and rifts between what we need to do and how to do it. So typical drama that might come along with that. Yet with the stakes being as high as they are, the world is ending every second that we don't find a cure. So just like a great song, it just crescendos to the point where you're waiting for something to happen, and I think that's when the season will end. The cliffhanger of our season, it's gonna throw everyone on their ass, first of all. So the way that season 2 will start, really it can go anywhere. And it's, I have no say in where that goes. So I'm at the mercy of the creators, so we'll see what happens. Very vague.
He went on to share a secret of an upcoming episode that apparently only he knows about.
No, seriously though, the 9th episode, it's a musical episode. And
Really?
I'm serious. Yeah, so stay tuned. If you're not, I think most fans won't be expecting that. So
No. Is there like a tap number with mops and swapping it out?
there's multiple tap numbers.
We teased the musical up. That sounds like something Travis would say. No, we're not doing a musical.
Oh yeah, Sting.
Episode 9 is the musical.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Last Ship musical, which you know Sting is doing a musical on Broadway called The Last Ship.
It's a musical.
It's right next to my desk.
It's a lot of taffeta. It's a lot of sequins.
Producer Hank Steinberg set the record straight for what's really on the horizon for the show.
The long-term plan is to save the world. But there's a lot of saving and repairing to do, and so that saving the world and putting the world back together can take many different forms and shapes. And that was why when I heard the idea, I thought, I see how this show can go 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, because the canvas is so huge, the problem is so vast, and they can come in contact to any number of new people. They're traveling around also, on Lost, which is an amazing show. They had the Hatch, and then they had the others, and then where are they going to go to meet more people? How are they going to get outside of that? The first season takes place over a very condensed time period, and how it evolves from there, we don't know exactly, but we have a generalized blueprint, which I think is the best way to do it, is to know in a general way where you're going, and then be open to the fluidity and discovery of the process and not be locked in.